Come on.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Right. Pasha, did you introduce us
Do we still
already?
have music live? Because, okay, something happened. Guys, please introduce the show.
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Edelweiss, and I'm a developer advocate at BellSoft. My co-host has exited for for a time being. I hope he will come back. But today we have a very special guest in our studio, Spring developer advocate, speaker, blogger, YouTuber, athlete, and just an amazing person, DaShaun Carter.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
hi, DaShaun. How are you doing?
I'm having a wonderful day.
Okay,
It's a
well,
great day to be a spring developer.
it's early morning
It
at your
is.
place,
It
right?
is early
Yeah.
morning.
Oh gosh, I'm completely not a morning person. I mean, 5 o'clock for me, I'm sleeping still. I can wake up, but I'll be like a zombie, So the brain
You
will be
don't
still.
ever just wake up and be like, oh, I got to get to the computer. I got to get this thing out of my head. I got to do some stuff. You don't ever do
Uh,
that?
I usually do that before going to sleep. So when I'm already in bed and I'm already falling asleep, then I think, oh my God, I know how to solve that problem. And then I get to my idea and yeah, right.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Wake up and
But,
like,
but,
got to get this
well,
code
I'm
out.
actually a morning person.
Okay.
After 8 p.m., I cannot think at all. So,
I like that. I like to say that after 8 p.m., nothing good happens after 8 p.m.
well, a lot of good things happen. They shouldn't be related to me thinking about anything. For example, it's usually my time with my family.
Oh,
And,
yes.
well, it's a good thing, obviously.
I like to have family asleep. We're trying to go to bed at 8 o'clock. I have
Yeah.
young kids. So yeah, 8 o'clock. Like, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? It's bedtime.
Yeah, I mean, my children go to sleep around 9.
Okay.
So probably after 9 is the only time when I can spend time with my wife.
Okay.
And yes, I'm a little bit tired, but I like this time though.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I like to be
All right.
sleeping at 9. That's my preference. Sometimes I'm up late, but I like to be sleeping at 9.
I should
Okay.
probably introduce myself just in case. I did. Hi,
Yeah,
I'm
well, so
Basha.
I already said that Pasha is my co-host, but yeah,
Yeah,
Pasha is also a developer advocate,
yep.
BellSoft.
Trying to be.
So,
Trying to
well,
be.
he's a senior developer advocate and I'm a junior developer advocate. So,
Yeah, I'm still trying to be. It's impossible to be perfect. So yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there.
yeah. So,
Today it's you are in the driver's seat and you are giving us facts and we are trying to help you, right?
yes, exactly. So I'm going to share a presentation right now with you and with the audience, of course. And so everybody who is watching us, please share your comments, thoughts, how the state of affairs goes in your company with Java and Spring. And yeah, let's have a lovely chat. So yeah, but our team, both of team, has conducted a survey at the DevOps Belgium conference. So it is a major conference. There are lots of people, lots of Java developers, and we gathered some opinions on different questions that are related to Java development and deployment. And some of the results are really, well, astonishing and sometimes even surprising. So I'm going to share the results with you right now, and well, we're going to see the reaction to them. So, how are things going in the world of Java? So let me share my screen. Just a second. A tab.
Yeah, you can actually share just a tab.
Yeah, yeah. So and I'm going to create a slideshow. So is that all right?
Yeah, looks good to me.
Yeah. Okay, so Java Development Survey. And here are some key findings. That's just a summary of the survey, and then we are going to go into some details. But what you can see here, the striking thing is that 73% of Java developers believe that the performance of their applications in their company can be improved, right? So that is a topic that might be an issue, a topic for consideration. And developers really do think that their apps are not pure perfection, right? And there are things to improve. And I think that's quite an inspiring um, well thing, that that people really do pay attention to the performance of the applications. Um, right. So 58% or more than a half of devs agree that um, business managers often don't think that Java has the potential to reduce the cloud costs, right? So reducing cloud costs is a major topic, and companies overspend on the cloud, right? And Java has been notorious, right, for its slow startup, for the size of the instances with Java applications. That was in the past, as
Way
I
long
felt.
ago. That was like
Yeah,
decades ago.
that's like the story that you tell your your children at night, right? So you
Yeah.
want to hear a scary story about Java eating away at resources, right? So, but still, we're going to see in the survey what kind of versions are used in enterprises, and well, that's going to be some shocking content.
Do you want to discuss the performance part of this?
Of
Because I'm
course.
actually very interested. I obviously there is a grain of truth. Obviously, there is always something to optimize in any application. Do you think that over 73% of people are people who really have they see that there are hugely unoptimal parts and they think that they need to be optimized, or they just think that, "Oh, okay, it probably could work better but it works fine now"?
I think none of this is surprising to me. I feel like it matches up with what I see. I'm also a developer advocate. I also work with organizations all over the world, and I just when I look at that 73%, I think yeah, there's probably not the teams haven't all upgraded. They're still stuck. A big chunk of them are still stuck on Java 8 or 11. And a big chunk of that, 73%, knows that virtual threads are available and they haven't been able to upgrade to Java 21 yet. So these aren't really surprising to me.
Yeah.
So, do you think that these people who do not regularly update their JTK, it's actually a surprisingly low number for me. I would expect like 30% to not upgrade their JTK regularly. I think, and this kinda close to what I saw, and to what I asked. Well, do you think that this 10% are actually people who at the same time do not see that their Java application performance is subpar?
Yeah, I that'd be my guess. The teams that are updating regularly, they're on Java 23 right now, for example.
Yeah.
They're feeling pretty good about their Java performance.
But is Java application performance consists only of from Java aspect, or I don't know if you have n plus one problem in your application with
Oh,
Hibernate.
right.
Do you think that this will be the performance implications of the, I don't know, controlled environment
Yep.
will be bigger than implications of Java itself?
Yeah, I don't think that they have N plus one problems that they're blaming it on Java. I think, uh, especially based on where this uh, survey was done, I have some assumptions about the type of audience that's there uh, because it's an amazing conference, right? And it is going to attract high caliber engineers. So yeah, I have some assumptions. I feel like those I'm going to stick with it. I feel like the developers that are upgrading, they're feeling good about Java, not just its performance today, but also I'm assuming that those developers that have been updating, they're looking forward to Java 24, which is right around the corner. I feel like they're also aware that Java continues to improve, and there's a lot of great things still to come.
Yeah.
I hope so. I actually was very surprised at a different conference. I had a chance to speak to folks from US Air Force. And in my perception, US Air Force should be very conservative because it's how usually military works. Everything should be tested, everything should be conservative. They said to me that we are not allowed to use anything below Java 22, which was very surprising. I mean, come on.
Wow.
Even I am not sure if I would walk outside Java development the last years, like JetBrains, BellSoft, and so on, I would probably stick to Java 21. They already use Java 22. It is shocking. I
I,
didn't expect that at all.
I do not have Java 22 installed on my machine. I have
Yeah,
Because
Java
you
well,
already have
23.
Java 23, right?
Yeah, Java 23 is already middle aged.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
for you, I mean, I do understand why you would have Java 23 or even Java 24 preview builds installed.
Yes.
For that matter. If I would be in military, I would expect to have Java 8 installed or Java maybe 11, maybe 17. I mean, I would expect it to be very conservative. I am very surprised in a positive way how how progressive they are.
I I have been trying to live an N minus zero life for a while.
Yeah.
I want all of my stuff to be updated. That that I'm on an older version of anything does not mean by itself that it's a better version. It's a more stable version. Java 8 has had like 432 builds last I checked,
Yes, something
right?
like that.
So just being on Java, there's new builds coming out all the time, right? Just being on Java 8, you've had more Java 8 builds, more Java 8 releases in the last year than you've had Java 21 releases.
For
You've,
real,
you've, you've had more changes in Java 8 than you have in Java 21.
for real.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
That's
believe at the
exciting.
beginning of 2024, and I'm going to do some quick searching, but I believe at the beginning of 2024, we were at like 8.412. And I say that because I have these demos that I do all the time, right? And I believe that now we're at 8.432.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds totally plausible. I just don't understand where all these changes come from. How it's possible that they have so many updates for Java 8? It couldn't be just security because security obviously should be backported by companies like BellSoft to Java 8. Okay, that's
Yep.
fine, but they also should be in Java 2023 and all latest version of Java actually. So what else? Is it some features backported?
You know what? I don't know.
Okay,
I try.
very
I'm not paying attention to the Java 8 builds.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
looking
mean,
backwards.
it's just a fascinating fact. I will look into it.
Yeah.
Our folks should know probably how does it happen.
Okay,
Okay,
let's go. Yeah, yeah, let's go a little bit further, right? So, part one, the performance issues of Java 11 and older versions, right? So that was also a question on which versions of Java do you use and if you are satisfied with the performance or not. And one fact that we managed to discover is that migrating to newer Java versions is not a business priority, right? So the question was, if you have a Java application running on JDK 11 or older, what factors have prevented the migration to newer Java versions? Well, luckily, 32% of devs answered that they don't have applications built on JDK 11 or older, which is already good, but I was kind of expecting a higher percentage of actually enterprises running newer Java versions, at least 17, right, or 21. But okay, so and of those who still have legacy JDKs. In their workloads, so 21% said that it is not a priority for business at the moment, right? And close behind is the answer dependency on third party libraries that don't support newer versions, and then the lack of time or resources for testing and migration, and only 13% answered that the complexity of the migration process is the main obstacle. But yeah, 21%, staggering 21% answered that it's not a business priority, right? So I guess we have here a discrepancy between the tech teams and the business, right? Because the business doesn't care in this case which software versions are used by the IT department, right? So what business sees is the cloud bills, I guess, maybe, right? Or user satisfaction or dissatisfaction, right? But if the team lead or senior dev comes to, well, to the management says, all right, we are running the older version of some software, right? Java. And then manager, well, doesn't actually care about that, right? So it's not his or her area well,
Yeah, get this
expertise.
feature out. I don't care about that. Get this feature out. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they're driven on. Is they got some deadline, something that they're going to be measured on, and that's all that they're worried about. A lot of times, it's just get this next feature out.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
upgrade later.
that's where I feel that I do not do my work good enough, because it's me the person who should persuade other people that they should move to newer JDKs. I have
Same.
all these demos with how Java 21 performs better than Java 8 or Java 11 for this matter,
Yeah.
and they still don't do it.
Same.
Probably I present to different people,
Yeah. I
you
have the
know.
same. I feel like, what am I even doing here? Nobody's listening to me. Like,
And you
we've been
know
talking
what?
about it for years. Just upgrade. And luckily, you know, there are really good examples, public examples out in the world. There's this company that does, they stream videos called Netflix. And they're
Yep.
big. They do all the stuff in the cloud. And they've shared that when they upgrade between versions, from 8 to 11, from 11 to 17, when they do those upgrades, they get performance improvement across the board. Hey, here on average, we're saving 10% every time we upgrade Java versions.
Yeah.
10%. So if
That's
you're
staggering.
a global, you're a Fortune 2000 company that's spending some money in the cloud, if you can just go in and push a button, do an upgrade, most of the upgrades will be painless and save 10%.
And,
That's a
and
lot of
you
money.
and you work for Spring.
Yes.
When people use Spring and Netflix uses Spring, if I remember
Yes.
correctly, you cannot get newest features of Spring. And I mean, everybody uses Spring, and they cannot get newest features of Spring without the Java versions. If you sit on Java 11, what's your latest Spring version? 2.6 something?
Uh,
2.8?
Yeah.
on Spring Boot, we're on 3.4. 3.4 just came out.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I mean, what Spring Boot version is available to you if you use an older GTK?
Oh, 2.7. Yep.
2.7, yeah,
Yep.
it's not
That's
2.6,
the
it's
that's as
2.7.
far as you can go
And
before
you
upgrading.
miss so many features there.
So
Why would you do it? Spring AI is not available to you, right?
no, it's
Yeah.
not.
Spring AI is not for you. I mean, you miss all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Why do you do it to yourself, folks? I mean, care about your business, care about your code. Your code will actually become easier to read with new Spring versions,
Yeah. That I agree with that. I
because
agree
a
with that.
lot of APIs were slightly changed
Yeah.
multiple APIs were actually added in Spring 3. Spring
Yeah.
3 is not available to sorry, Spring Boot 3.
Hmm.
I constantly mix them. I mean, Spring 7 probably and Spring 6 are not available to you, and Spring Boot 3 is not available to you.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So as far as I remember, the baseline for Spring Boot 3 is Java 17, right?
Yep. Yes, it
Yeah.
is. And
So
that baseline is going to stay uh, with the upcoming Spring 7. That's going to stay. But one of the things that the Spring team does is make sure that the new features that come along with the new Java versions, right? We get a new Java version every 6 months. The Spring team is committed to making those capabilities that are available in the newest JDMs available in Spring Boot, and the projects.
I have one more idea.
Yeah.
Sebastian Delors in his talk on Spring IO mentioned that Kotlin popularity is growing. Probably when you are on Kotlin, you do not care that much about your Java version because your APIs are different. Spring has very nice support for Kotlin since 2.5 probably. Spring Boot since 2.5, maybe even earlier.
Yeah, somewhere around there. It might even be earlier. You know what? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I do not remember exact. I have issues with exact version numbers because I use Spring with Kotlin for a lot of time, for a long
Yeah.
time, for years. But new APIs were introduced at some point, and Sebastian Delos, if I remember correctly, were involved particularly in their development. And somehow you can have nice features not having a nice Spring. So probably my past work when I was a developer advocate for Kotlin influenced my current work, where I'm a developer advocate for Java. And yeah, somehow people do not use newer JVMs. But if you are in this category of people who think that I already have all the nice features because I use Kotlin, it doesn't work this way. Kotlin utilizes JVM under the hood. And yeah, if you have better JVM, better performing JVM, your Kotlin application will run faster. You will save a lot of money for your business and for your potential salary, I hope.
One of the metaphors that I've been noodling around, and I haven't really kind of taken this public, so I'm doing it here first, is like the JVM for a lot of these applications, it's kind of like the oil for your engine, right? Your car might run, it might run, but you're not going to race. You're not racing anybody. And when you're not getting the benefits of upgrading and your competition is, that can only last so long, right? If your competition in whatever industry you're in, if your competition is constantly upgrading, and maybe that's what the US Air Force was thinking. We
Yeah.
can't sit on Java 8
Yes,
when
I
the bad
believe.
guys are on Java 23. Like, that's not, we're not going to compete that way.
It also can be a security consideration, right?
Right.
There is lower chance of having a zero-day vulnerability in a newer GTK, if I understand correctly.
Also, the muscles, just the practice, the culture, the muscles that go around with upgrading, with patching. I'm conflating two very different stories, but it sticks in my head. That idea, like, oh, we've got a backup data center and we do active passive, and don't worry, everything will be fine. If something goes wrong in this data center, we'll fail over and everything will be fine. Well, I had that happen once, and the failover didn't go as planned, right? It had been scheduled and all the documentation said it looks great, but we never practiced it.
Yeah.
And whether you're upgrading a version or you're patching a version, I think that it's the same exercise. You
Yes.
should be comfortable. We should be comfortable taking new releases. We should be comfortable. If something new comes, this I am saying a lot. If a CVE comes out, whether it's in your JVM or your frameworks or whatever it is, if a CVE comes out, that's the dinner bell for the bad guys.
Man, I
That's the
love it.
signal. They get the CVE information just like we do. That's their signal, like we've got some opportunity. And performance aside, the security aspect, if you can be comfortable taking upgrades, you're going to be in a much better position.
Yeah, absolutely. This is so beautiful.
Yeah,
I like this example.
yeah,
Shall we move further?
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Right, and so for those devs who actually use Java versions 11 or older, there was another question, right? So sometimes you do have to increase the performance of your application, even if it runs on legacy software versions. And well, then in this case, you have to, well, think about ways of trying of jiggling with what you have at hands, right, with legacy software versions. So the question was, if you have a Java app running on JDK 11 or older, how do you enhance the performance to meet new requirements? Because new requirements do come, right? Your application must be more responsive, right? It must scale in a more flexible way, and so on and so forth, right? New features, well, new stuff, new shiny, bright things that make the user experience better. That's all is demanded, right? But the software is not updated. So what do we do? And right, so 19% answered that to enhance performance, they do prepare to migrate to a new version of Java. So they don't see any other alternative in increasing the performance than to migrate, which is quite, well, logical, right? And then the 18%, which, well, that's very frustrating. They think that's not a priority, right, for business at the moment. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kind of logic like that, right? So if it runs in some way, if the site is on, right, no matter that it works slowly, it's there on the internet, and everybody is satisfied, and we can scale the resources, right, when the traffic comes in. We don't have to do anything. So kind of like that logic. And yeah, so 9% they have a dedicated performance team to handle the issue, which is quite amazing, I think. Yeah, well,
Yeah, what does
9%.
that team do? All right, in my head, the dedicated performance team that's faced with Java 11 or older, what do they do? What should be their first decision? What should their first option be? That
You
is
Oh,
know,
that's a good
mind
question.
blowing to me.
like when I was writing an article on garbage collection and on JVM memory options, the official documentation offers like dozens of fine-tuning memory options. So maybe this performance team does the balancing act, right? So to get the best out of the poor old garbage collector that they are using. So kind of like that, maybe, right? And then there are even teams who involve external consultants, right, to tune the JVM settings, about 5%. So yeah, that is an issue in many cases, and people try their best, the devs try their best to squeeze something, at least something out of their applications. So that's why actually BellSoft came with the idea of the JDK Performance Edition, Liberica JDK Performance Edition. So our goal was to help the teams who are preparing to migrate to newer versions but really need the performance improvements now, right here and right now, to receive these enhancements without much fuss. So the JDK Performance Edition, Liberica JDK Performance Edition, couples JDK 8 or JDK 11 and JVM 17. So in this case, you don't have to migrate, right? You don't have to change the Java version. You don't have to change, well, significantly your application code, and you get the performance of JVM 17. So it's like taking an old car and putting on an engine from the newer car into this car, kind of like that.
Yes.
And it is, of course, not a remedy like forever, right? You don't stick to that forever. Although we do have plans to upgrade the JVM to 21, so you have JDK 8 or 11 and JVM 21. But still, that is this momentary solution to spike the performance, right? So your application immediately works better, runs faster, consumes less resources, and you can plan the migration smoothly, right? Without the deadlines. Oh my God, we have to do that overnight. No spending time with family. So weekends at work, we are migrating this legacy piece of code to the new Java version, right? No. So you can do that smoothly, right? Plan
This
the
version to
migration.
me is a big deal because as a developer, I'm that type of developer that was very comfortable kind of making uh, questionable decisions. Right? This is another one of those decisions where I was like, "Oh, I can't upgrade beyond Java 8. Okay, but I can patch, right?" This is one of those moves that I would make for sure. Uh, yeah, taking the optimized version of Java 8. I'm staying where leadership wants me to stay, but I'm also able to look at this. I've got some performance charts that before the upgrade and after the upgrade, I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to brag to my friends at lunch that, hey, are you guys on Java 8? Look at mine, right? I would love to be able to do that. This is a cool move for people like that, like me, that are wanting to push. They're not comfortable with sitting on old versions. They care about their customers and they want to see these performance improvements. For them, this is a great option, right? You can still check all the boxes. You're not jumping out of bounds. You're not making any real big political moves. You don't have to fight any fights. It's Java 8, but it's faster. Like That's a win-win. I'm a big
You
fan.
probably still have to have this fight with your boss because this Java 8 Performance Edition is still a paid thing. So you will have to prove probably that you will save more than you will spend.
And that sounds to me like a really easy to make decision. If I can go, let's just take our previous example. If I can go and save 10%, right? If I can go and save
It's not
10%,
much. Even
right?
if you save 1%, you're still winning.
Right? Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
that's an easy number to come up with. If you've only got
Absolutely.
if you're running Java 8 on a Raspberry Pi and that's your production environment, you're not going to save a whole bunch, right? But
One of my friends love to say this phrase. It's easy to argue with me, try to argue with my Excel file.
oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Because and this is exactly the kind of this problem. We can just build a simple Excel file which shows amount of our servers, how much we spent on Java 8 Performance Edition, how much we spend currently, how much we will win in performance. Boom, that's all.
Yep.
I mean, this just was proven.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It was Marcin from the Spring team. Uh, One of the things he used to always say, like in his talks and in his videos, he would say, like, you're employed to save your company money or to make your company money or to save your company time. You're employed for a reason. The purpose is to generate value.
Yes.
And it's our obligation as engineers to try to improve that value. That's why we are employed.
Yes, absolutely.
And that being able to show, no surprise that Marcin is working with the observability team. He's
Yeah.
the lead over observability because you've got to be able to show your work. You got to show the reason. Why should I upgrade? Here's my Excel.
Yes.
Show those numbers because in my org, I like to say this, in my org, if you can save the company 10%
Yeah.
on even if it's not like across the board, if you can save 10% on their portfolio, the set of microservices or the monolith that you work on, if you can save 10% there, you would get a nicely written email, right?
Yes.
Somebody would be like, hey, good job, Kat, good job last month,
Yeah.
saving us a little bit of money.
This is
That's
amazing.
it might, that 10% might be millions of dollars, but you'll get a nicely written email. Thank you. But
Yes.
there's other savings, there's other benefits to be had because if we're going from Java 8 to 11, that might be a 10%. But if we go to 8, 11, 17, 21, 25 in the not too distant future, if we can be making those changes and get those changes continuously, then like our team might get cookies.
I want to say something different about this slide too. I'm not in position to say that any of companies that make these decisions are wrong. I do not know what's happening there. I do not know their budgets, their economics, and so on. But what I can say, I immediately see almost 15% of companies who can potentially save money, even if we are not talking about performance edition. Those ones who scale infrastructure, because well, hardware is expensive. If you need to scale its infrastructure, you probably have different ways and cheaper ways to improve your performance. And the ones who involve external consultants, again, usually external consultants do amazing things. They know Java, they know how to improve things, but they are expensive. They are expensive. You could probably just switch your Java version. Java is very good in the backward compatibility. It's the cornerstone of Java development, JVM development, I would even say. Usually you can just switch versions and get better improvement. If your performance is somehow worse, well, you go to your JDK vendor and say, well, how is possible? And they say, you still have your parallel GC enabled. Just switch it off. Just switch it off and it will be immediately better.
That's that advice right there. Is there we have so many knobs to turn,
Yeah.
and I put them into the same bucket. If you're not evaluating the new Java versions, if that's not a part of your culture, that's difficult. I'm not gonna refer somebody if there's a job opening for software engineer, this is a thing that I have been saying for at least a year and a half now. You're going to go into work and you're going to go work as a Java engineer, Spring engineer. You're obligated to ask them because you might have two offers. You might have two offers that are very similar. You're obligated to ask your potential employer what versions of Java do you run in production? Which version of Java would I be using if I came to work here? Because me, you, we don't want to go work on Java 7,
Yeah.
Java 8. Like that's not exciting. If I've got the same offer between two companies, which one do I want to go work for? The one that has Java 8 in production or the one that has Java 21 in production? I think that's an easy answer.
Yes. I also want to say that the second question you should ask is probably why. If they tell that it's Java 8 and you ask why, they have to answer. And if they use Java 23, they will also have to answer. And the second answer will be actually much more beautiful. It will be something like, we have a culture of innovation in our company and we
That sounds
care
so
about
nice.
resources.
Yeah. You have options. We have all of these options. And I know where I'm at. I like to say that, hey, the JVM is one size fits most. But
Yes.
not all JVMs are the same. But also inside of the JVM, we have options for like garbage collection. You can have somebody at Netflix wrote a blog back in 2012, and then everybody's like, "Oh, well, look, this is what Netflix does. We're going to use that same garbage collection in the same settings that they did because it's Netflix." Back in 2012, I faced that. But you might have two apps running in production they have completely different characteristics, and they need in order to perform optimally, they need to have different settings. They need to be tuned different. But we have the options. When a new garbage collection comes out, like we've seen a few over the last few releases, when new garbage collection comes out, you should feel comfortable taking a look. Oh, I'm going to change from the parallel GC to the new ZGG. You should be able to take a branch, do a experiment, and you should be able to evaluate your workloads with different garbage collection. And not just once, continuously. Like do that because the right the right answer changes over time. And the decisions that we made 6 months ago, 2 years ago, those decisions may not be the right decisions anymore. Right? Workloads change.
That's why we have load testing suites in our products. We should have them. Yeah, you should better have them because it's better for you, it's better for your company to run them continuously somewhere in on your pipeline to see if you have any performance regressions right now. It happens time to time. We made a slight mistake and performance regressed, and clients will probably be unhappy. On the other hand, it's an easy way to perform performance analysis of different JTKs, of different JTK parameters. You probably won't even need the dedicated performance team if you have them, but probably you will have it. Sometimes it's very complicated. Sometimes actually dedicated performance team are actually the people who write these load testing suites, and then if they evaluate them, then they monitor them, and so on.
Yeah.
Just think about it. It's so interesting. I mean, probably you want to be in this dedicated performance team.
Yeah.
Shall
Right.
we?
Yeah. Shall we go on? So the next part was security and performance. And yeah, so security was also a major topic in the survey, and there are some questions related to security. And right, so the first question was how frequently does your company update the JDK? So we have to dissociate here between the upgrades and updates, right? So by updates, we usually mean that we update the current Java version, right? So CPU or PSU releases. And upgrades meaning that you change actually the Java version, right, from 17 to 21, for instance, right? And here, so we have the mixture of answers, right? So 46% say that they only use LTS releases in production, right? And regularly update with each CPU or PSU release, which is, I guess, well, quite logical because enterprises often, I don't say always, of course, right? But they often stick to LTS versions, and yeah, update the current version, JDK version, to apply some security patches or fixes. Right. So 23% said that it all depends on the service, and some services are updated regularly, and some are rarely updated. 11% said that they update only when some critical issues arise with their code, right? So system failures or bug fixes. So basically, it means that the program runs until it crashes, and only then you start thinking, "Oh, right, well, maybe I should update," kind of like that. Yeah. And then 10% said that they update with every JDK release, regardless of whether it's an LTS version or not. So kudos to those devs. Right, and finally, 9% said that they only apply a CPU or PSU releases and migrate to newer Java versions as needed. So I guess these are those folks that still use JDK 11 or 8, right? Because CPU
Uh,
and PSU release for them are
it's
available.
not said here
Yeah.
actually. It's
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's my little, I guess, preposition.
I
I like that.
I
As
get
needed.
it was it's partially my fault because this point is actually not clear because I do not understand what's as needed is. It
Right.
was
That's a loaded statement.
yeah
As needed by who? Because I get an email from the security team that says go patch, or am
yeah
I
I
paying
mean
attention to CVEs and bug fixes and new releases? Right. I like to use SDK man. I
yeah
like to see that, hey, I'm on the latest version. I'm not a big fan of having uh, Java 8.412, for example. I'm not a
sometimes
big
you
fan of
need
having
but
that version.
usually you don't.
I want to have the latest version of whatever it is, whatever line it is. I want to have the latest version. I'm not a big fan, right? So Java 23, we have 23.01 or 23.1, one of the two. We have a new version of Java 23.
Yeah.
And so 23.0, I don't want that. I don't want to use that. I won't ever choose 23.0 when I have 23.1 available.
But here's the question for you. Do you propose to use like JDK 23 without specifying which exactly JDK 23 in production?
Yeah, no, I want to be on n minus zero.
Yeah,
I want the culture to be that it's so that when and again when we're saying upgrade, I'm saying upgrade. Are you not patching? Like, are you still running 8.6 when we're on 8.432?
so for me, I see an issue here. Let's say we use like kind of latest tag in our production Docker file, which is valid. It would be a Liberica JDK Liberica runtime container 23 with tag 23. You will always have the latest 23 version with it. But what if the new version of Java contains a bug, and you didn't test with this latest version of Java? Because, well, when you tested it, it was fine, but suddenly we release a new version, it's published to Docker Hub, it's pulled by your container registry, and your Kubernetes does just updates things. And suddenly it's untested, and suddenly your application fails in production. Is it a good thing?
No, latest tags are not a good thing. You should have pinned versions.
Oh, so you,
Pinned
you
versions.
okay. So you still have 23.0.1 in your production.
Yep.
It's the latest, right?
23 dot. I believe it is
Yeah, it should be point one, I think, but yeah, I could,
23.0.1. Yes.
yeah, yeah. I'm happy that my memory still works, kind of, sort of. So yeah, you should pin your versions, but you should target to always have the latest version in your production, in your pinned version. Do not use latest tags. Well, so consider not using the latest tags. I am not in a position to order you anything.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If there's a bug,
Yeah.
Java's open source.
Yes.
Like, we're a community. We are dependent on each other. If there's a bug released in a new version, and nobody uses it, then what? Right? I feel obligated to take the latest versions of, especially with open source software. I feel obligated to take the latest versions, and I feel obligated because I consider myself an above average engineer. I want to find those bugs too, and I would love to find it before you do.
Yes. There is a small catch though. Let's say you found a bug in new JDK version. It's 23.0.2,
Yeah.
and you suddenly found a bug.
Yep.
What do you do with it? You,
Report it.
but you
Tell the
can't.
world.
You can't. The OpenJDK Jira is closed. You cannot report to it. So the only thing you can do is you can go to your vendor of your JDK. So if you use Oracle JDK and you do not have support bot from Oracle, you cannot report it. If you use Liberica JDK, you can try. We at least have community support, so you can tell us in our chat.
Yep.
But well, there are no guarantees, sadly. And this is the issue with the whole Java OpenJDK development, because you actually have no like official way to report issues on about JDK.
Yep. Because there's so many flavors of JVM. And this, again, one size fits most. You have lots of options to choose from. And I'll say that don't take that decision lightly,
Yes.
right? If I choose if you're running in production today with whatever JVM, that should be maybe a question. I would love for that to be something that this audience leaves with. Like, do you know how to open an issue with your JVM? Right? You should have a channel, no matter which vendor you're using. You should know. Find out today how to do that, how to raise an issue. And if you don't have a path, right? If you don't have support, and again, you're building your business, the business that puts food on your table for you and your family. If you're in a business running a JVM in production and you don't know how to get support on that, maybe it's time to ask.
Yes.
Do yourself a favor. Let yourself sleep a little bit better
Yes.
at night. Know the way. If you wake up in the morning and there's a bug caused by, of course, it's not caused by anything you've already been testing for. It's caused by some new behavior or some bad actor, some other thing. And you wake up in the morning
regression in JDK.
and something has changed and you think that it's related to the JVM. Do yourself a favor. Figure out how to go and open up an issue. Figure out what that channel of support looks like in your organization at whatever level you are, right? If you're a junior engineer that just started at the company, do yourself a favor. Find out that channel. If you're a CTO that's got a relationship,
Yes.
do yourself a favor and find out.
Yes. Or find the people who know how to do it.
Yeah.
I actually have a story about bugs in JDK because most of developers I know, they say, I have never seen a single bug in JDK. So 7 years ago, I myself hit an issue with OpenJDK. We used the Oracle version. It was OpenJDK back then. And it was a small issue with system current time millis, actual bug in its implementation. And I didn't have a way to report it. I was very lucky. Those days, I was close to Alexei Shepelov, who's performance engineer in Red Hat those days, I believe, but maybe still in Oracle. I don't remember exact date. And I told Alexei, I have this issue. Is it really a bug? And he said, yes, it is really a bug. I will report it for you. But from now on, you should know who is your JDK vendor, and you should have a channel to report these bugs, because I am not your official channel. It's not my job to report bugs for you. You have the reproducer, you have all the data, please report it yourself. And yeah, now I'm smarter. Now I know, now I choose my vendors. Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
The upgrade thing is not just about performance.
Yes.
It's about security. It's about comfort, being able to sleep at night. Like,
It's about convenience
yeah.
and about long-term investments, actually.
Right.
I like that. I like that you said that. The long-term
Yeah,
investments.
it's you see this thought of which of them? Oh, on the previous slide, we had a piece of chart. They said that we are planning to update our GTK. They're planning their investment. This is what they will do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we have like half of the presentation left and lots of questions. Do you guys wanna like maybe look at the most interesting questions? Because I don't think we have that well, really much time left, right?
Sure.
So
I'm sorry. I rambled. This is fun,
no,
right?
that's
These
so much
things are
fun. Yeah,
important and they're easy changes, relatively easy
Kat,
yeah,
changes.
it's
There's
up to you.
somebody in the org that's trying to figure out how to get a 10% better margin. There's somebody in that org over there that's trying to figure out how to make this much more money. And we have some answers. We have some options.
yeah. All right. So the next question was which factors make you consider switching from the current JDK version? And well, 37% said that they cannot choose the stack due to the company policies, and 33% said that it's due to licensing costs and restrictions, which is a known story, I guess, right? So licensing does matter, right? The cost of support does matter. Yeah, and well, the conditions when you can run your and where you can run your workloads and your GDK really do matter. But I propose that we look at the question that let's say the question: do you agree that business managers often undervalue Java's potential to cut the cloud costs, right, through optimizations, better resource management, etc.? And more than 50% said that yes, they do agree. So 20% strongly agree, and 38% said that they agree. And I actually have a question to you, DaShaun. What do you see in your daily work? So is business actually, is there actually a gap, right, between what business wants and what tech teams want? And do the businesses, well, are skeptical about Java and about new features of Java? Or, well, how are
They
things
don't
going in
see
this
the
case?
spreadsheet. So I have a simple, Java comparison, Java version, Spring versions comparison that I show to all levels of orgs. So I show it to the junior developers and I show it to the C-suite. And once they see it, it's hard to argue with my spreadsheet. It's hard to argue with my Excel spreadsheet. And once they see it, then it makes sense. When they can see, right? We didn't even talk about like Graal VM and all the other things that the Java ecosystem has done. Like, would they see that just by upgrading, we can save 20% on a memory footprint or on a startup time? Those things add up. And I don't have to know their usage because anybody in the room puts their app in their head and they think about like, what if our application started up 5% faster? What if our application could scale out 5% faster? Or what if our application could be 10% smaller footprint? What if? And that math automatically kicks off. I don't have to know the numbers in their head. All I have to do is show them that how easy it is to upgrade, the options, and I can do the same thing with garbage collection, right? There's these knobs that we can turn, that we can save real money. We can make massive improvements, and we're obligated to do that. So, like, I agree. Managers don't really understand. And I also, my strong opinion is developers need to do a better job of creating those spreadsheets. We need to do a better job of not just saying, oh, we should upgrade because do a little bit of work to do a comparison between here's what our application looks like on Java 8, here's what it looks like on Java 17 or Java 21. Here's how easy. Here's all of our apps, right? You don't have to wait for permission to do an experiment on, well, maybe you do, but it's easier to get permission to do an experiment to show here's the performance improvement, here's the security upgrades, here's all the benefits of upgrading this app. You can do that, and you could probably do it in weeks, not months. Weeks. You could analyze whatever your portfolio is, and you could do the steps. Hey, here's our app running on 8, here's our app running on 21. And maybe it's just one app, maybe it's one of the microservices that does work. Show that, hey, here's the benefit we got from this one microservice. We've got hundreds of them in production. What do you think? Do you think it's worth investing some time in doing this exercise? Because I just did it for one. I spent this much time comparing 8, 17, and 21 for this one microservice. And here's the difference.
This is
Yeah.
actually how I got my first engineering manager position 10 years ago. Oh, something like 10 years ago. I proved in facts to my manager that and then to his manager actually, then we can save a lot of resources by utilizing different approaches and newer Java version. And that was like, okay, if you understand all this stuff so good, you probably should be the one making decision. And it was a very small team. I actually had one subordinate, but it's a start, and that's what you can do. If you are interested in business will also always see that this person is interested. We should grow them, right?
Yeah.
DaShaun, do you still have time, or
I do. Like,
I also have time, so
yeah, like I believe I'm gonna double check. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna sec. Don't
Okay,
tell.
just like
Don't tell.
okay, look
I'm
at
gonna say.
let's look at a couple of more questions, right?
Yeah.
Just yeah. All right, so green Java or energy efficient Java applications, is it actually becoming a trend? Yeah, that was the question. And yeah, for 18%, that is becoming an important focus. And 25% said that it's somewhat, there is some awareness, right? But it's not a major topic yet. And for 25% it's not really, right? So it's not really a focus right now. So green Java means that we use less resources, right? Our applications run faster using less resources. Well, there are a variety of solutions that we can use to achieve this resource efficiency with Java and newer Spring versions, right? So, for instance, you can use a growl VM native image, or, for instance, coordinate restore a checkpoint, right, to drastically reduce the startup and eliminate the issue of the Java warm up, right? And in this case, your application will start much faster. There's going to be no warm up, and you're not going to overpay for CPU time for the resources consumed by the Java application while it's warming up, right? And you can implement the scale to zero approach, right? And that's very, very green, right? That's very resource efficient. And newer Spring Boot versions support out of the box. They support Crack and Growl VM native image, right? And so there's not much fine tuning, right? You just added the dependency and that's it, you're good to go. So right, and BellSoft's, for instance, offers Alpaca containers, and they're perfect for Spring Boot applications, as we say, because well, there's Liberica JDK Lite, which is optimized for the cloud, and Alpaca Linux. And these containers, they enable the developers to reduce the RAM consumption by 30%. Well, they can, right, do that in many scenarios. And that's great. I think reducing the resources, it's not only about reducing the costs of development, right? It's not only about saving money, but it's also about being resource efficient and pursuing the goal of sustainable development, right? That's important, I guess.
Yeah,
And that's good.
they kind of like combine, right? Those movements. Hey, I would like to use my money more wisely. I would like to save the planet. Those objectives, they kind of merge. Like one helps the other. Like you can look for waste, turn things off, scale to zero, clean up behind yourself. One of the things, why is your test environment running over the weekend if you've got no development happening? You've got no pipelines that are firing. Like, shut it off. I heard a new term recently, the light switch concept. Like, you should be able to turn things on and off. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, turn it off. Like, you're not using it, turn it off. Yeah, close the door behind you. Turn off the lights. But these two concepts, the green Java, this energy efficient Java, it lines up with all the other things. You go down this approach, you get all these other benefits. So if your company cares, fantastic. Go down the green approach and get the benefits of being on the latest. If your company doesn't care, maybe they just care about money. Go down the money path, you're still going to get the green benefits. Do yourself a favor.
Also, cloud native approaches are peaking right now. I mean, they're probably the most popular approaches in the software development, and they are inherently very green because it's about being able to scale to zero and scale up only when it's really needed. And when you can scale to zero, it's the most resource efficient approach you can probably find. I mean, I do not pretend that I know everything, but in my view, this is how I see the world. If you can scale to zero, it doesn't consume electricity, it doesn't consume any other resources. That is fine. You are as green as you could be.
Yeah. And you said cloud native. I've got a term in my head from my friend Dormain, edge native, right? When we talk about low power, when we talk about where Java lives and where Java is going today, right? It's not always going to the cloud or to the data center. A lot of times it's going out into the world. It's going into radio towers. It's going into cars. It's going into, forests, right? And street lamps. It's going everywhere. And the power that they consume matters.
Do you remember Java Card Edition? It was very, very old. You could run it on SIM cards.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
It was like supercut Java, but Java was
Yep.
efficiently everywhere.
I forgot about that. You mentioned it. Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah.
It was actually very green because,
Yeah.
it doesn't consume any resources but what your phone can do.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. And yeah, let's look at the last question is the most popular Java features in production. So the question was, which of the following new Java features are you currently using or planning to use in production? Well, by new, meaning, starting with, I guess, 11. Pasha, would you remind me when the var was introduced and which
After
version?
11, I think.
After
It
11, yeah.
should be
So,
after 11.
right.
13, 15,
I
Yeah.
want to say 15. But
15.
Yeah. 15. Okay,
Uh,
so about that.
Non-LTS versions, I do not remember them because
Mm-hmm.
I used Kotlin those times.
Mm. Oh yeah, I do remember. Yeah, I fell out of love with Java. I remember that.
But
But okay,
Java
yes.
these days is amazing. I saw advent of code in both Java and Kotlin, and sometimes I see that Java is just beautiful, just
amazing.
amazing.
It is, yes, and it's getting better and better. And what I love about my job is to actually talk about the latest and greatest, the latest Java versions, Spring versions, the latest features, Spring features, Java features, because I love Spring and Java, and that was just the perfect combo for me when I was offered this job. And yeah, and Java is getting more powerful, right? So virtual threads are adopted well by 38% right now. So it means that at least Java 21 is used in production, which is great, right? Yeah, well, the records take the record, right? Pattern matching for switch, right? And var. And we didn't actually use about the Spring features, but we had a question about AI. So if you use AI, which do you use? And Spring AI is here somewhere.
I'm so surprised that the usage of Claude is so low. I
Yeah.
would
Uh,
expect it to be much higher.
I'm willing to bet. Previous graph, the thing that I was most excited about was the ones at the bottom. I would have expected those numbers to be much smaller. These, I think, are kind of a deeper, more advanced. But again, I understand the audience where this taken. But I'm still happy.
5%, right?
Yes, I'm still happy with those results.
It's 1% in 20 uses JFart event streaming.
Like that's
The- almost any service in production in the world, I believe. Well,
that's
maybe every second.
yeah, that's pretty
This is
amazing.
so cool.
Yeah, and the foreign
Also,
function
F-
stuff. Yeah,
FF.
very cool stuff.
FF.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't even think
Yeah,
Yeah, let's jump to the AI
very
thing.
exciting. Yeah, and I think the AI, because it changes every day, I think the results there would be different today. Same audience
Yeah, you're totally
today,
right.
the things are going to move because that's just what's happening.
But don't you feel that ChatGPT is kind of default LLM right now these days?
Yes, yeah, because they're in the news.
Yes, which is very interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
in my opinion, Claude usually performs better,
I'll
but
I'll
somehow ChatGPT always wins.
I'll be honest. I don't like training other people's models. I like to use models on my machine. I love that I've got Spring AI. Now I've got MCP. I love that I can do a lot of the things that I do with ChatGPT, with Claude. My good friend Christian Zoloff, he just put out a demo of using Spring AI and letting it do Google searches, not with RAG, be able to go and do a Google search and pull it into a Spring AI based app. Like
This
this,
is so cool,
things are moving
man.
fast. I don't have to use ChatGPT. I don't have to use Claude. I still do on occasion, but only for really comparisons. I like to do things locally. I've got Raspberry Pis. I
But you
can't afford the
can't
cloud. I
run
can
a
afford Raspberry
full-blown
Pis, and I can
LLM
run
on
all
one.
this locally.
Well, but you cannot run a full-blown LLM on Raspberry Pi, can you?
I can run a full blown LLM on a Raspberry. Now it's not a sub-second response time. It might take 30 seconds, but I can run Llama 3.2 on an 8 GB Raspberry Pi.
This is true. This is true. This is fair.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. We are living in an exciting. What time to be alive?
You are so right. Like, thank goodness. This is an amazing time.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's it. Well, that was amazing. That was an amazing talk. I mean, guys, you are fabulous.
This was
Really
fun. Like,
talk
I,
today.
Yeah, this
I
is so
really
much
wish
fun.
we had more time. I really wish we had more time to go deeper because there was a lot of good stuff there. And I love hearing what you see. I love hearing your perspectives because a lot of the stuff that we do as developer advocates, a lot of times it's like, hey, let's see if we can get you to make some really easy, common sense
Yes.
decisions. And if I can convince you to do a common sense decision that provides a ton of value, you might come back. You
Yes.
might listen to me again.
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, I
Man,
really enjoy this. And I am so grateful for the invite. Thank you so much for letting me join you.
this has been
Thank you,
so much
Dashan.
fun. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming. I hope we'll do it soon the next time.
Yeah.
But for now, thanks to all the audience. Kat, thank you very much for hosting us.
Thank you, Pasha, for supporting us.
This is
See
wonderful.
you
Right.
later then.
Yeah. Till next time.
We are offline. Thank you so much, Dashan. It was
Thank
Thank
great.
you.
you. That was great.
Thank you.
Uh,
I do. I